Beneath the surface of the world's most powerful symbols lies a secret history even time itself has tried to erase. Imagine not a church, not a crucifix, but a vast desert at dawn. In the sand, a figure kneels and carves into the earth two simple lines, one vertical, one horizontal, crossing at the very center. For thousands of years, long before the word Christianity echoed in Roman halls, the cross was there etched on cavern walls, woven into priestly robes, raised on megalithic stones that whispered to the cosmos. But what if I told you the cross you thought you knew holds meaning more ancient and more powerful than what you learned in Sunday school? What if its true purpose is not of sacrifice, but of spiritual awakening, not of suffering, but of harmony, cosmic order, and the ascension of the soul? Tonight, we step beyond the veil of modern religion, a veil draped thick with dogma and doctrine, to unearth the primordial nature of the cross. This is not just a story about symbols, it's a journey through lost temples, into the heart of forgotten mystery schools, and into the very structure of the universe itself. Together, we will rediscover how early civilizations, Egyptian, Sumerian, Celtic, and beyond, invoked the cross to summon balance between the heavens and the earth, the seen and the unseen. You'll learn how the cross became a map for both the cosmic dance and your personal path to wholeness, and why this wisdom was both revered and later concealed by priestly orders. Are you ready to see through the illusion, to find the truth that survives in myth, geometry, and ancient art? By the end of this journey, you'll never see the cross the same way again, and perhaps you'll realize that the keys to higher consciousness have been hiding in plain sight all along. Let us begin. Next, we travel through time itself, unearthing echoes of the cross in the oldest echoes of human memory. Let us cast our gaze far beyond the fog of recent centuries backwards through the veiled corridors of history, where the cross emerges not as a singular symbol, but as a cosmic cipher. Its traces appear across continents, born from civilizations that had never crossed paths, yet gazed at the same stars and wondered at the same mysteries. Consider the ancient Egyptians, whose sacred Anka-looped cross stood not for death, but for life itself. Carried by gods and pharaohs, the Ankh symbolized the union of heaven and earth, the vertical staff connecting the worlds above and below, the horizontal arms bridging the east and west, life and afterlife, masculine and feminine. It was the key of life, both a map and an invitation to immortality. In the Sumerian city-states, crosses were carved onto tablets and temple walls. These were no mere decorative flourishes, but codes representing the four directions, the four winds, the foundation of the physical world. The Sumerians called it the Dinger, a sign of divinity itself, a crossroads where human will met the will of the gods. Travel north, and you find the Norse and Celts weaving the cross into their sacred knots, setting stone pillars like the Celtic cross at the heart of their gathering places. These crosses, encircled by a ring, signified cycles, the eternal return of the sun, the endless weaving of fate. Even more astonishing, archaeologists have uncovered cross-like motifs among the ritual objects of Göbekli Tepe, a temple complex predating the pyramids by thousands of years. Here, the cross appeared as a silent sentinel at the dawn of civilization, long before formal religion as we know it. What connects these distant echoes? Why did so many cultures, separated by time and oceans, discover or perhaps remember the same geometry? It is no accident. To the ancients, the cross was a universal language. Its two axes, vertical and horizontal, mapped onto every aspect of existence: spirit and matter, light and shadow, time and space, inner and outer worlds. The point of intersection, the very heart of the cross, marked what mystics called the axis mundi, the center from which all creation unfolds and to which it ultimately returns. Over millennia, this knowledge was guarded jealously. Mystery schools in Egypt and Greece veiled the cross behind allegory and ritual, revealing its true meaning only to those deemed worthy of initiation. Why the secrecy? In a world where knowledge meant power over souls, over fate, the cross became both a shield and a key, something to revere, but also something to restrict. Yet as empires rose and fell, as religions codified and conquered, the primordial wisdom of the cross faded into obscurity. Its deeper meaning was subsumed by new narratives, sometimes preserved in esoteric art, sometimes deliberately forgotten. But beneath these layers, the old knowledge persisted, waiting, like a dormant seed, for those with eyes to truly see. Tonight, as we peel back these layers, Ask yourself, what have we lost in forgetting the original essence of the cross? And, more importantly, what might we rediscover about the cosmos and about ourselves if we dare to remember? Imagine standing alone at twilight, feeling your bare feet press into the earth. Above you, the last gold of the sun stretches across the expanse, while your shadow, cast behind, points like a hidden compass. In this quiet moment, every axis converges earth and sky, past and future, above and below right where you stand. The ancients taught, this is the living cross, and you are its center. Let's begin with its most elemental form, two intersecting lines. Across cultures and epochs, this geometry spoke of a fundamental truth, the unity of dualities. The vertical line rises, ambitious and infinite, a pillar connecting the underworld, your lived world, and the celestial realms above. The horizontal line, steady and wide, sweeps outward, the horizon, the plane of space, the movement of your life within time's river. Their intersection is not random. This center, the axis mundi, the world tree, the navel of the world, is the mystical point where opposites meet. It is the place of silence, stillness, and balance amid all movement, a portal between dimensions. The cross, therefore, is not merely a shape to be revered, but a map for integration. Imagine the ancient shaman, meditating at the crossroads, seeking guidance where earthly paths converge. Or think of the Buddhist mandala, its intricate patterns always returning to a central point, just as the cross's arms draw your gaze toward the middle. At its most primal, the cross teaches the seeker, to ascend, you must become whole, marrying the polarities within. In Egypt, the Ankh's loop is the womb, the source of all creation, crowning the cross at its apex. In the East, the cross quietly underlies the yin-yang, masculine vertical, feminine horizontal. In the West, the four directions radiate from the cross's heart, reminding us that every journey, spiritual or physical, must begin at the center. And this wasn't just philosophy. Ancient architects built temples at crossroads, believing the intersection of lines would allow energy prana, chi, spiritus mundi to descend from above and radiate through the land. In these sacred places, priests conducted rites of balance, aligning sun, moon, and earth to the very geometry of the cross in stone and earth. Let's look at the paradox. The cross appears fixed, yet it is a living diagram of circulation. The vertical invites ascension, a return to the divine, while the horizontal roots you to the earth, to community, to daily life. To embrace this symbol is to walk a path that is both spiritual and embodied. Much like the hero at the mythical crossroads, the cross offers you a choice. Do you ascend without balance, drifting like a leaf on the wind, or do you remain earthbound, missing the call of your spirit? The center point, the true secret, invites you to stand in both worlds at once, to rise and to root, to reach for the stars but never lose your place upon the earth. Here, the cross becomes more than a symbol. It is an initiation. It whispers, stand at your own center, meet the realms above and the paths beside you, and in this meeting, become whole. But why did this wisdom retreat into shadow? Why did the cross's living meaning become buried beneath history's tides? In Part 2, we will journey deeper into mysteries, unmasking the cross's forgotten powers, its use in ancient rites, and the reasons it became a symbol of secrecy and sometimes even fear. Now, let us linger in the half-light of history, where myth and truth entwine. You see, the story of the cross does not end at symbolic geometry or ancient architecture. It plunges into realms both luminous and shadowed, carrying secrets that shaped entire cultures and consciousness itself. Recall for a moment the legends of ancient initiates, priests in Egypt, sages in Babylon, shamans on the steppes. To each, the cross was no inert icon, but a living tool, a template for ritual and revelation. In the deepest sanctuaries, the initiate would stand at the intersection, a sacred axis. Through meditative practices or ceremonial movement, they would align the self with this crossing point, harmonizing body, mind, and spirit. The cross served as both compass and altar, orchestrating the rhythm between the mundane and the mystical. But the cross harbors more than one story. Enter the crossroads at midnight, the crux in Latin, a place considered both powerful and perilous. In Greco-Roman and later European folklore, crossroads pulsed with magical potency, sites where boundaries blurred, spirits drifted, and choices carved new destinies. The cross thus accrued layers of paradox, a meeting place of gods and men, of opportunity and trial, of protection and vulnerability. Here too, we encounter the cross as a ward against darkness. In many pagan traditions, drawing a cross upon the palm, the doorframe, or the earth itself was a gesture of sealing and shielding, pushing back against malign forces by invoking the harmony of the four quadrants. Rather than a marker of suffering, the cross was a sign of order conquering chaos, of spirit restoring harmony in the broken world. But as tides of empire rose, the symbol changed. With Rome's adoption of Christianity, the cross's deeper, pluralistic meanings were deliberately narrowed. What had once been the cosmic axis center of all creation became tethered almost exclusively to a single event, a singular narrative: the crucifixion. The cross transformed into a token of martyrdom and redemption, its universal geometry overlaid with stories of suffering and resurrection. Some say it was appropriation, others an evolution. Yet, hidden within church architecture, stained glass, and forgotten rites, the older cross survived. In the Eastern Orthodox tradition, the cross's multidimensional forms three-barred, elaborate, cosmic hint at mysteries unrevealed. In alchemy, the cross persisted as a formula for transmutation, signifying not just death, but transformation and union of opposites. What's rarely discussed, even now, is that the cross continues to express a profound mystery, that divinity and humanity are not separate, but meet at the center of our being. That every life stands at a perpetual crossroads, charged with the potential to rise above or sink below, to choose true equilibrium. So, let us ask, why was this knowledge buried, even feared? In part, it is because true balance is dangerously liberating. It empowers the individual, uncouples wisdom from institutions, and threatens powers that would rather keep us divided. To carry your cross, in ancient gnosis, meant not burden, but sovereign unity holding the center, amid chaos and creation alike. And so, the cross waits. It waits in art, in the architecture of cathedrals and the patterning of nature's branches. It calls the seeker back to the primordial balance, beckoning us to rediscover its living message, that ascent is only possible when grounded, and that the endless, sacred dance of the universe begins and ends at the heart, at the mysterious, luminous point where all opposites meet. In the next section, we will not leave this wisdom hovering in abstraction. Instead, you'll discover how to use the cross as a living practice, moving from symbol to transformation, and learning how to anchor this ancient power in your everyday life. Are you ready to stand at your own crossroads and illuminate the path forward? Now, let us step out of the realm of myth and metaphor and draw the cross down into your own hands, making it not merely an idea, but a lived experience. The wisdom of the ancients was never meant to gather dust in forbidden tomes. It was, and still is, a map for everyday transformation. Begin at your center. Start with a simple exercise. Sit or stand in a quiet space. Imagine yourself as the living cross, the spine, your vertical pillar, connecting earth to sky, your outstretched arms, the horizontal axis, touching the world to your left and right. Close your eyes. Take 3 deep breaths. As you inhale, feel energy rising through your feet, traveling up the core of your body, the vertical. As you exhale, feel your awareness expanding outward through your arms and chest, the horizontal. Repeat. With intention, sense the crossing point, where breath and awareness meet, the heart. This is your axis mundi, your personal center from which clarity and power emanate. Even 1 minute of this centering practice each day can anchor you, sharpening presence and inviting higher intuition. Walking the crossroads. Life's challenges often feel like standing at a crossroads, unsure which path to follow. The ancient practice was to pause at moments of indecision. Draw or trace a simple cross on paper, in sand, or even in your mind. Let each quadrant represent a choice, a perspective, or a part of yourself. Place your attention at the intersection and calmly observe which direction calls your spirit, not just your logic. The cross becomes a compass, not of maps, but of meaning. The sacred space. Old temples were built at the geometric center where vertical axis, hewn stone, obelisk, or pillar, met the sacred ley lines of the earth. You can create a miniature version of this temple at home. Mark a small cross on your altar, desk, or even garden. Let it be your reminder of the balance between action, horizontal, and contemplation, vertical, between the world's demands and your own soul's purpose. Meditate at this symbol. Ask, Where in my life am I out of balance? What polarity do I ignore, my need for rest or my urge to strive? Use the cross as a lens to restore equilibrium. The answer is almost always found, not at the extremes, but at the harmonious intersection. Overcoming obstacles. This path, simple as it seems, has its pitfalls. It is easy to mistake balance for stagnation, neutrality for indifference. The cross does not call you to avoid extremes, but to acknowledge and unify them. When you feel torn between chaos and order, between caring for others and honoring yourself, return to your inner cross. Stand still, listen. Sometimes, the true path is not a linear choice but a synthesis, a third way born at the center you create. Remember too, what the initiates knew, the cross brings protection, not through superstition, but through harmony. When life feels fractured or hostile, visualize the cross as a shield. Let its arms, stretching infinitely, gather up discord and dissolve it in your balanced core. A living symbol. With regular practice, you will begin to recognize the cross everywhere, in architecture, in the structure of plants, in the crossing of paths with strangers who change you. Let it remind you that you are both grounded and limitless, that every breath, every decision, is an opportunity to embody cosmic balance. Above all, know this: the ancient cross is yours to reclaim, not as dogma, but as a living instrument for self-realization. In the final reflection, we'll weave these discoveries together, and I will leave you with a question that opens the next door on your path. Let us gather the threads and unlock the true potential of the cross within. So, we have journeyed together through the labyrinth of time, peeling away the veils to reveal the cross not as a relic of one faith, but as a primordial pulse embedded in the very fabric of reality. Across windswept deserts and ancient temples, in the silent geometry of the stars and the silent chamber of your own heart, the cross endures. It is far more than intersecting lines. The cross calls us to dynamic harmony, to remember that our highest ascension is only possible when we are deeply rooted. It reminds us that every choice, every challenge, every fleeting moment is a crossroads, a sacred chance to meet fate with awareness and shape our path with intention. What the ancients encoded in sacred stones and whispered in the shadows of mystery schools is not lost. Their gift waits at the intersection, the living center within you. The cross is not about suffering or empty ritual. It is about presence, awareness, and the endless dance between the worlds. To touch its truth, you must become its embodiment, open to all directions, yet anchored in stillness. So as you move through life, let the ancient cross be your silent companion. When you sit in meditation, when you face a turning point, or when you simply pause in the flow of your day, remember that the axis of the universe runs through you. The wisdom of the cross is already alive in your breath, your choices, and your becoming. And now, I leave you with a question, one that has echoed from the stones of forgotten temples to the modern seeker's soul. At what crossroads do you now stand, and what will you choose to create at the sacred center of your life? If you found resonance in these ancient echoes, share your thoughts and your own experiences with the cross below. Is there a symbol that has guided you on your spiritual path? Let's explore together, because the journey never truly ends at the crossroads, it only deepens. If you haven't already, join this channel by subscribing so you never miss the next unveiling of hidden wisdom. Until next time, fellow wanderers, may you walk boldly, balanced, and awake at every crossroads you encounter.